In activity number 9, can you write all of the words and phrases from the box in exercise number 8 and write it again in the correct categories in here? I'll give you some minutes to take a look. Alright, showing contrast. What do you think? Yes, we can have whereas. Remember, whereas you use it at the beginning of the first clause and then you need to have the main clause in a complex sentence. Next one, you can have although. Although is the same, right? You use although to form a complex sentence. You use although at the beginning of the first clause and then comma the next clause. Or if you like, you can put the main clause first and then although in the middle. If although stand in the middle, no comma is needed. For number 3, you can say by contrast. By contrast stands at the beginning of the sentence, right? It used to separate the two sentences, and after by contrast you need to have a comma. Can you add anything else in this criteria? You can say in contrast, yes. You can say however, yes. You can say whereas, although, by contrast, however. Okay, how about for number 2, introducing a new point. For a new point, you can say in terms of. This term, I think that personally I really like this one. I often use it in my writing. In terms of, you can also say moving to or moving on to plus a noun phrase, right? And then you can also say turning next to. As for me, I think that besides in terms of, I also use as for or as regards. For number 3, to emphasize or to exemplify an idea or the point that you're making, you can say what stand out is, what's striking, what stand out is. It is striking that. In fact, right? To introduce a statement which clarifies the data, you can say for the purposes of this data set. For the purposes of this data set. For number 5, to indicate the information that is in the same order as connected information mentioned in a previous statement, you can say respectively, right? Or you can say in the same order, probably. Alright, so remember, try to use some of these transition next time that you write. In writing, when you keep repeating like a noun or a piece of information, it might result in losing mark. So exercise number 10 here is designed in order to help you to practice doing that. Can you take a look at the sentences here? What information does each underlined word or phrases allow the reader to avoid repeating? Can you take a look and please do exercise number 10. So, shall we check it out together? For number 1, the one here is used to replace the word trend, right? The overall trend is clearly one trend of a decline. It would be repeating the word trend. So you say the overall trend is clearly one of decline. Number 2, by the end of the given time frame. So the given time frame here is a paraphrase of the 100-year period between 1913 and 2015 to avoid the repetition. For number 3 here, of them replaced for coal mines in Britain. Number 4, the number is short for the number of coal mines. And for number 5, this type of vehicles is a paraphrase of passenger car. Also in IELTS, if you showed the examiner that you are able to use these words or phrases to refer back to information, it will also improve your scores. Alright, so now please take a look at the exam skills. It's your turn to write now. In this exam skills, they show you a bar chart so that you can practice with different way of presenting data. So let's take a look together. This bar chart shows the percentages of the UK workforce in 5 major industry in 1841 and 2011. So if you can see, we have 5 manufacturing. So I think that is factoring. It's wrong spelling here. Manufacturing, services, agriculture and fishing, constructions and energies and water. So if you can see that the blue one here indicate that the percentages for the first year 1841, and the red light color here is indicate 2011. First thing first, try to paraphrase the intro here and then write the overview. What do you think is the overview? And then try to analyze the information so that you can have 2 bodies in your paragraph. Now let's take a look at the sample answer together. In this sample answer, they write the intro first. In the intro, they say the bar chart divine. So instead of using the word shows, they use divine. And then the UK will fall into 5 categories based on the type of industries. And then they also state the year. So this is a good enough intro. For the next one, they will continue with the body. However, we'll take a look at the overview first. So here they write the overview in the end, and in the overview they say that the job profile of the UK changed radically. Radically is a very good word. It indicates that you are able to use the word in much higher level. This is around like C1 level, C1 or C2, radically. And then the year, that means it has changed significantly. And then it also states that the increase coming in the construction and service industry, but on other areas seeing a decline. So there's an increase in construction, right? Increase in constructions and service industry, and for other it is the decline, right? For the body, we'll take a look at how do they deal with the data in here. The overall trend is the rise in the proportion of the service industry. So it chooses to talk about the most noticeable data here, that is the service industry. You can see that it increased from 33% to 81%. So let's see how the writer put the numbers in here. The most salient feature, pay attention to this part here, the most salient feature. It means that the most noticeable, the most striking one. It used this phrase to emphasize the information, right? And then which contrast sharply with the figures of 33. So you can see that it is not only this, the writer does not only just simply write the number, but also like try to compare and contrast the information. And next one, a discourse markers here. In contrast, there was a huge drop in. They used the structures of there was, and then a adjective and a noun. In manufacturing industry, moving on to manufacturing industry, right? This one, from over a third in the mid-19th century to just 9%, right? So instead of saying the number here, they say from over a third. You know, over a third, right? We have around 100%, so over a third is like more than 33%. Okay, so the next information, simply add more information. So the writer use furthermore. And then they start with a time period here, which is very smart of the writer. The 170-year period, I can guarantee that this kind of writing will give you a much better score in grammar. Period saw a marked fall in agriculture and fishing sector, leaving. Okay, this is another good example of grammar here, with a tiny 1% of the UK worker. And then similarly, workers in energy and water company decreased by 2/3. Instead of just saying the number, they use comparisons, right, by 2/3. And then on the other hand, the construction industry will experience significant growth from 5% to 8% over the period. So if you can see that throughout the bodies in here, the writer use a variety of structure which will guarantee them with a very good grammar score. And also the vocabulary here is good, the information is logic, and the writer use a variety of discourse markers. However, I would say that maybe you should try to control yourself a little bit here. If the writer put the discourse markers in front of every sentence like this, it might not be a good idea. Maybe you should try to control yourself a little bit. Maybe using about like maybe 3 or 4 discourse markers should be enough. Alright, so now it's your turn to take a look at this bar chart again and write your own piece. If it is possible, can you time yourself? Let's see how much you can write in 20 minutes. We have arrived at the unit reflect part. Remember, you need to answer all of these questions here in your portfolio. Question number 1. How can you improve your coherence and cohesion score? Question number 2. What are some useful discourse markers that you've learned in the unit? Question number 3. Can you complete the short essay for exam skill task? Good luck on answering these questions. Thank you so much for joining me today. I will see you in the next unit. Goodbye.